Hello YouTube, I'm back again with a different type of video this time. This is going to be part of a new series where I just talk about what I'm reading / watching at the moment and just talking about it. I normally talk about art related stuff, but there are times where I just want to vocalize my thoughts about something I've been enjoying at the moment and speaking it into the ether. And to start off this series, I'll be talking about Burning Effect. It is a webcomic that I stumbled across after swimming in the sea of random manga updates, and it's been 2 months since I started reading it, and I even did some fan art about one of the characters. But now I wanted to do a slight deep dive on it. Not too deep though, these are not going to be heavily edited like my artist analysis videos. I want these videos to be chill to make. So without further ado, on to Burning Effect. The setting of the story takes place in a fictional country called Greymark, and it's divided into 6 blocks. Our protagonist, Burner, lives in block 5, which is considered to be the hardest block to live in. The reason being is that in Greymark there is a law in which you will be executed on the spot if you commit any sort of crime, regardless of the severity of said crime. And in each block there's an administrator that carries out the executions, and the administrator for block 5 is none other than Great, the strongest guy out there. Burner is just trying to get by, but is sexually harassed by someone that has connections in the Central Administrative Bureau, the people that are in charge of the current law in Greymark. She retaliates, but since attacking someone from the Bureau is a crime, Great is already on his way to kill her. After getting through some tight spots, she eventually gets saved by a revolutionary group called... Okay, I'm probably gonna get the pronunciation of this wrong, but the group is called Zebolts? Exabolts? Zebolts. Anyway, the group saves Burner in her precarious situation, and there she meets Kai, the leader of the group, who has a strict no-killing policy and wishes to change the entire status quo of Greymark. That is the main gist of the story. I'm not going to spoil anything really, but know that things kick off from there and it more or less enters a typical battle shonen type of story. However, it's the setting, the mystery, and the execution of the story that gets me engaged. Oh, and the art too, of course. And speaking of the art, it is really good and unique. And I'm probably gonna say that for every artist, aren't I? I feel as though I can't call it an anime style though. It sometimes leans towards the Western cartoony proportions, which is a good thing considering Western cartoons have a really nice stretch and squish to it. Some of these characters can look very distorted and straight up psychotic, and by that I mean mainly Great, my favorite character in this entire webcomic. He's just such a fun character to see. He's got such a large presence that whenever he's in the room, the entire focus is on him. There can literally be a bunch of characters fighting at the moment and he'll just appear and everyone will take the time to stop and just see what he's going to do. I'm not kidding, this guy shows up in chapter 1 and it's stated that he's the strongest, and this might be a slight spoiler but I'm up to date with his webtoon and he is still technically the strongest character in this story. He absolutely dominates wherever he goes. And he always has such a large grin in his eyes. Oh my god, his eyes are absolutely crazy. But despite how he looks, he's actually a rather deep character. But like I said, no spoilers. Think something like a mixture of Accelerator from the Index series and Bakugo from My Hero Academia. Another thing to take note of is the use of color. While it is mainly a black and white webcomic, there will be flashes of color here and there that adds a level of ambience to the scene. And sometimes the color can just represent a character itself. Say for example Kai. Whenever he's on screen, you will either see blue in his eyes, the background, or in his clothing. And for Great, you'll mainly see reds. It's sort of like how in the Death Note anime adaptation, Light will always be in a red lighting, while L would always be in a blue lighting. Another webcomic that does something similar to this is Terror Man, since it is also mainly in black and white while using colors sparingly, but I'll talk about that in its own video. I know currently webcomics have been making the rounds lately, especially with anime adaptations like Tower of God and God of High School, but if this ever sees the light of day of being an anime, I honestly cannot see this in color. It's strange. And if this did somehow by the grace of God got one, I only want Madhouse, Bones, or Trigger to animate this, no one else. Maybe Ufotable, but they have a specific aesthetic that may not match well with Burning Effect. Anyway, I'm not saying that this is the greatest thing out there, but I'm surprised that there are not a lot of people talking about it. I did a quick search on YouTube and there are like 4-ish videos about it. So I thought, why not, I'll do a somewhat extensive video about it. I do want to talk about other things I've been reading or have been wanting to talk about, like the Index series, mainly the light novels. Hard to Gear is another one. Someone mentioned Witch Hunter in my artist analysis of Park Jin-won, which I have read, so I can talk about that as well. And does anybody remember Siren? I have lots to talk about. I'll still do artist analysis videos, but I think this will also be a nice thing to do on the side here and there. Although, what type of channel am I anyway? Am I an art channel or an anime manga channel? It doesn't really matter, but whatever. Well, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.